What's going on, everybody? This is Derek J407 live from New Orleans, Louisiana, here to give you my live thoughts on NXT TakeOver New Orleans. The show ended not too long ago, but I am back in my hotel room. I'm alone right now, even though I was at the show with my girlfriend and her little brother, and I am back here by myself for the time being to give you guys my thoughts on the show, which is, this was quite possibly the best TakeOver show of all time. Now, I think in reviewing these TakeOver shows, I think I've said that a few times before, but I mean it this time. Each TakeOver show is either good to great, and this is just one of those that was fantastic, excellent, all that kind of stuff. Just so well executed. All the matches flowed nicely. That main event, the main event that we've all waited for almost a year now. Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Unsanctioned Match. Just about the closest thing to perfection you can get since the Gargano Almas match back at TakeOver Philadelphia. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for that match live, but I was here for this match live, and let me tell you, however it came across on TV, well, the network, I guess, it was 20 times louder in the building, in the Smoothie King Center. This was just a great show. The crowd was hyped for it. No problems getting into the building, no problems getting to our seats. It was all great stuff. And yeah, the fans were into everything. They got a little annoying here and there, but for the most part, everyone was just into everything on this show. Just a really strong show. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I missed the episode of NXT that they taped prior to TakeOver, but I guess I was hearing from people in my section that said that War Machine, Hanson and Rowe, they competed. So I'm sorry if that spoils the next episode of NXT. But yeah, that's the impression that I was under, that War Machine made their debut. So I assume they'll eventually go after the tag team titles in time. So glad to see they debuted. Wish I could have seen it, but I'm glad they debuted. So on to what was actually on the TakeOver show. We opened with the 6-man ladder match for the first ever NXT North American Championship. We had in this match EC3, Adam Cole, the Velveteen Dream, Lars Sullivan, Killian Dane, and Ricochet, the one and only, who got a huge ovation in this match. People reacted to everyone in this match. Killian Dane got a pretty nice reaction. No one wanted Lars Sullivan to win. Velveteen, he had a pretty good reaction. Adam Cole had a huge reaction. You know, everyone doing that Adam Cole baby thing. But EC3 and Ricochet were the two guys who were the most over in this match, I think, up until the end when we got the finish. But I think Ricochet was the most over guy in this entire match. And not too hard to see why, considering all the moves that he pulled off. And there were a lot of impressive moves in this match. Everyone got a chance to shine. Ricochet, he was the lightest guy in this match, the most limber, I guess you could say. So he was able to pull off a lot of great high-flying moves and flips and all that kind of stuff. If you've seen Ricochet compete before, then this was a Ricochet match that you've seen before. And he pulled out all the stops. But like I said, everyone got a chance to shine. Velveteen Dream, he had a pretty good showing for himself. He hit a bunch of elbow drops on people, and he even climbed up to the very top of a ladder and hit his Purple Rainmaker elbow onto Lars Sullivan. So that was a huge, huge spot. EC3, he had a few good spots in here. The 1%er himself, he powerbombed Dream off of the ladder set up in the middle of the ring and powerbombed him onto a ladder that was leaned up against the corner. So that was impressive. He also gave Adam Cole a TKO off the ladder. Adam Cole has some pretty good spots in this match too, some super kicks. Lars Sullivan and Killian Dane were the two monsters. I think it was Killian Dane. He hit a Vader bomb onto EC3, who was on top of a ladder, and Adam Cole was on his back for whatever reason. At one point, Lars Sullivan pushed over a ladder that Ricochet was on, and when Ricochet got pushed off, he just moonsaulted out of the ring onto a bunch of guys on the outside. Later on in the match, there was a point where there was two ladder bridges from the ring to the announce tables. The first big thing was Killian Dane. The first big thing was Lars Sullivan delivering the freak accident to EC3 onto the Velveteen Dream through the bridge ladder. And then a little while after that, Killian Dane on the other side, just a few feet away from him, he slammed Cole. I don't even know what kind of move it was, but he slammed Cole onto Ricochet through the ladder bridge. So insane stuff here. At one point, all 6 guys were climbing ladders in the ring at the same time. There were 3 ladders. Everyone got knocked off. At one point, Lars Sullivan, he was the lone man standing, crowd booed. But out of nowhere, Ricochet, he springboard jumped from the apron all the way into the middle of the ring onto the ladder, and he collided with Lars Sullivan, crashed all through like 3 ladders or whatever. Then he started to climb, and as he climbed, Adam Cole came from behind and pushed him off, sent him abdomen first into the ropes, and then Adam Cole, all by himself, climbed the ladder and retrieved the North American Championship. And Adam Cole, baby, is the first ever NXT North American Champion. Huge win for Adam Cole. Honestly, I didn't think he was going to win. I didn't think he needed it. I figured that he's going to be representing the tag team champions, so he probably doesn't need it. Lars and Killian probably going to cancel each other out. I figured EC3 didn't need it. He could easily be a challenger for the NXT Championship. Ricochet, he could too, but honestly, I could see Ricochet debuting on 205 Live any week. Possibly this week, but any week, really. So I figured Velveteen Dream probably would benefit from it more, but I'm a big fan of Adam Cole, and I'm very happy to see him get a big win here. Wasn't the only win he got on this show, but it was the first big win he got on this show, and it ended a terrific ladder match. So I thought, oh god, I hope they didn't peak early, but then I remembered this is NXT and it's a takeover show, so there's no such thing as peaking early. Plenty more great action to come, and we got that up next in the women's match, the NXT Women's Championship match. Ember Moon taking on Shayna Baszler in a rematch from TakeOver Philadelphia. This chick, Lizzie Hale, I don't know if she sings Ember Moon's entrance music, but she was there live, for Ember Moon's entrance. It was pretty cool. The fans were really into Ember Moon. A lot of hate for Shayna Baszler. She had pockets of cheers. A few people in our section cheered for her, but I think overall there was mostly boos for her. But these two had a really good match. It was a lot longer than their match in Philadelphia, but that was a much different story being told in that match than was in this match. In that match, the story was how Ember Moon just wasn't ready for Shayna, and she barely survived, and then Shayna got the last word on her. So, heading into this match, we believe that Ember Moon is ready for her now. She's going to take her on head on, and she did that for the most part. At one point, she even got to do that the stomping on her arm or elbow kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. That's something that Shayna Baszler has done to a lot of women in NXT. And then she did to Ember Moon. But she also did like Dakota Kai and all that kind of stuff. So Ember Moon got to do it to her. And then Shayna kind of disposed of her at one point. And then she went over to the turnbuckle and then to the steel post and kind of rammed her shoulder into the the steel post to put her shoulder back in place, which was very unique. But towards the end of the match, at one point, Ember Moon did hit the Eclipse on the outside. She went to the outside and hit the Eclipse onto Shayna on the outside. Referee was counting. Both women made it back in. And then fast forward to the finish. Ember Moon was going for the Eclipse again, but this time Shayna Baszler caught her in midair and locked her in her clutch, her rear naked choke, or whatever it is. I heard people say that Mauro Ranallo, he was calling it a Karatuda or Karafuda clutch or something like that. I mean, I don't know. It was some kind of hold. She had her in it for a long time. Ember, she tried to, pull on her arm. She did it earlier, and that's how she escaped. So she tried to do it again, but Shayna kept knocking it away. She almost passed out, but then she was able to fight back a little bit, but she was still in the hold. But eventually, Ember Moon did pass out, and Shayna Baszler got the win and became the new NXT Women's Champion. Pretty predictable finish, I think. I think a lot of people saw this coming, especially going down this way with Ember Moon tapping out. I thought there might be a chance that she might break her arm, but that did not happen. But she did tap out to the submission. And Shayna Baszler, the new NXT Women's Champion, after the match, she went over and hugged 2 of the 4 horsewomen, one of them being Ronda Rousey. So she was in the crowd for this match, and Shayna went over to hug her and walked out. And yeah, new champion. Really good match. I don't know if this was the weakest match. I think maybe the tag team title match was probably the weaker one, but I don't know. It really wasn't that weak. I mean, I guess compared to a lot of the matches on the show, maybe this one was weaker, but it was still really good. And yeah, I think Shayna Baszler would do really well with the title, and that's for Ember Moon. I fully expect her to debut on the main roster. A few days ago, I did my WrestleMania predictions and said that I think Becky Lynch will win the Women's Battle Royal. I'm tempted to change that and say that Ember Moon will debut in the Women's Battle Royal and win it. Probably going to, I don't know. I think they're going to do a draft in a few weeks anyway, or shake up or whatever. So, I'm not sure what they're going to do. Maybe for all I know, she'll probably end up on Raw or SmackDown. She could probably end up on Raw. I'd love for her to end up on whatever brand Asuka's on so they could have some matches again. But yeah, I fully expect Ember Moon to make it to the main roster, as well as Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. I think they're long overdue to be on the main roster, so I think they'll make it too. But yeah, good match. Up next was the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, as well as the Tag Team Championship match. It was the Undisputed Era, represented by Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. So Cole doing double duty on this show, defending against the Authors of Pain and Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong. Pete Dunne, obviously, probably the most over, outside of Adam Cole, probably the most over guy in this match. He played more of a babyface role, which, I mean, I'm a big Pete Dunne fan, but I like him more as the cocky heel kind of character. But hey, as long as his character doesn't really change all that much, heel face doesn't really matter to me. But I think ultimately he should be a heel. But I think after what happened in this match, I think he will be a kind of tweener babyface kind of role going forward. So yeah, the AOP, they got rid of Adam Cole early on, powerbombed him through the announce table, almost botched it at first, but they managed to get him through it. So yeah, how did Adam Cole make it through 2 matches in one night? Well, he spent 80% of the second match laid out on the floor, so not hard. So the match itself was okay. I wasn't really paying attention. I was looking on Twitter, seeing people's reactions to the show up to that point. Talking to a few people with me for the most part, but whenever Pete Dunne got in there, fans went crazy for him. They all were hot for Pete Dunne. So the finish, which is the most important thing, so the Authors of Pain are cleared out, and Pete Dunne, him and Roderick Strong, they're I was gonna say they're going strong, but that sounds pretty redundant. But yeah, they're the lone team standing tall. Dunne hits the bitter end on Kyle O'Reilly, goes to cover him, and out of nowhere, Roderick Strong breaks up the fall and hits the end of Heartache on Pete Dunne, lays him out, puts Kyle O'Reilly on top of him. 1, 2, 3. Undisputed Era retain the titles, win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and Roderick Strong joins the Undisputed Era. After the match, both Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly looked completely shocked. Roddy pulled Adam Cole, and he took his arm and he took the sleeve off of his arm and put it onto his own. So Roddy is an official member of the Undisputed Era now. After the match, Bobby Fish, who is injured right now, he came out on his crutches, and all 4 of them stood tall. So I did not see that coming. The people in the entire crowd, not only just my section, but everyone was shocked when he broke up that pin and laid out Pete Dunne. People were just going crazy. And then when he put on the Undisputed Era armband, they started the yes chants and all that kind of stuff. A huge pop for this heel turn for Roderick Strong. So, yeah, I figured the Undisputed Era was going to win, but I did not see this outcome coming. I didn't see Roddy joining. I thought Roddy might join a few months ago, but when he turned them down, I figured, okay, that's the end of that. But, a nice swerve here, a perfectly executed swerve. The word perfect is going to be used a lot, to describe this show in a lot of ways. But, yeah, I really enjoyed this swerve. I really enjoyed this finish, and, the match itself was okay, but I think, the ending, the finish will be what this match is really remembered for, which is good. So, new top heel faction in NXT. Not that it wasn't before, but now it's even stronger than it was before. So, good shit there. Up next, Andrade Cien Almas defending the NXT Championship against Aleister Black. Just a year ago at NXT TakeOver Orlando, these two had a match. Aleister Black's debut. I remember watching that match, and for some reason the crowd shit all over it. They didn't care. They were doing the wave and all that kind of stuff, and then when Black hit the black mass and pinned Almas, then they cheered, but outside of that, they didn't really care for it. At that time, I didn't really care about the Almas character. I, quite frankly, would have had no problem if he had gotten released, but then over time, he acquired Zelina Vega, and the act became really cool with me to the point where now Andrade Cien Almas is one of my favorite acts in the entire company. Mainly because of Zelina Vega, but she was the turning point for him. She adds a lot to his character. He has a lot more charisma, a lot more character to himself now. Still can't cut promos, at least in English, but I mean, his talent outweighs that, and Zelina Vega is good for that anyway. But, this was so I'm really into his character, and of course, Aleister Black, I'm a huge fan of his, so all that going into this match, I knew it was going to be something special, and it was. This was a great match, not quite as good as that championship match from Philadelphia a few months ago, but more so around as good as the match Almas had with McIntyre back in November at the War Games show. So, a really strong match, though. A lot of interference from Zelina Vega in this match. She held a bunch of head scissors and Hurricane Ranas on Aleister Black behind the referee's back. And hey, props to Aleister for selling the hell out of it. At one point, he did, and he spiked his head into the mat, which was a pretty cool visual. But yeah, she tried everything to help her man get the job done, but it wasn't working. At one point, Andrade hit the corner knees, the running knees into the corner. At another point, he hit it onto Aleister, who was right in front of the steel post on the outside apron, and he shoved him into that. But again, wasn't good enough. Aleister gets in the ring, gets laid out with that hammerlock DDT, and or whatever it is, and it's only good for a 2 count. And Zelina Vega, she's on the outside. She's going nuts. The fans are going nuts at this point. So she gets up on the top rope, tries to dive onto Aleister, but he moves out of the way. She lands in the arms of Almas, who swings her around, and when he comes back around, Aleister just collides right into his face with the black mass, and they've established that when you get hit with that, you ain't getting up. So he got hit with that. 1, 2, 3. Aleister Black is the new NXT champion. Again, kind of predictable in that I figured Aleister Black would win the title. I wouldn't have been shocked if Almas won and they wanted to prolong this a little bit more, but I think the right time and place for Aleister Black to win was here, and he did. So very happy to see him become champion. I think that finish could set up a split between Andrade and Zelina, but I think it'd probably be better if they keep them as a pair because Andrade without her is much weaker than Andrade with her. So I say put them on the main roster, put them on Raw or SmackDown. It really doesn't matter to me as long as they're kept together and, you know, they're kept as a good act. I don't know how much main event traction that act has, but maybe in the mid card for the Intercontinental or US title, it could do really well. I could see him as the Intercontinental champion or US champion or something like that. So I think he could benefit from that. But yeah, great match. Andrade had a really good run. It wasn't that long, but it was really good. He had 2 of the best matches in NXT history. Granted, they were both with Johnny Gargano, but he had a bunch of other good matches with Fabian Eichner and all that kind of stuff, and he had a great match here, dropping the title to Aleister Black. And now Black can carry the brand on his back for the future until he's ready to debut on the main roster too. But until then, good to see him as champion, and hell of a match. But not as good as the match we had up next. The match we have been waiting for not a full year, but almost a year, that being Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano in an unsanctioned match. I was very happy to see that this match main evented the show. I was telling people for weeks now that this match is going to main event the show. It has to main event the show, and I was very happy it did, because especially with the finish to this match, that was the perfect way to end the show. But nah, speaking of perfect, I think that describes this match. If it wasn't perfect, it was damn close. I loved this match. This was an amazing match. The story told by these two guys in this match was incredible. It's hard to put into words just how great it was. It's hard to call every single thing they did in this match. There were a lot of near falls. But it was great. You had a clear heel, and by God, was Tommaso Ciampa a heel. He made his entrance, no theme music. He had a Titantron that just had his name on it, but he came out just drowned in boos. This guy had got nuclear heat on this show. All kinds of chants directed at him in his entrance and throughout the match. You know, asshole, fuck you, Ciampa, you suck. There was a "you're a wanker" chant at one point during the match. They chanted everything at this guy. And of course, you know, Johnny Wrestling and all that kind of stuff chanted at him. But, nah, this, like, it's been a long time since I've seen a heel, a bad guy, a person who is portraying the bad guy role get this much hate. Not even The Miz gets this much hate. A lot of times when he's out there cutting a good promo, the dude gets a babyface pop. It's been a long time since I've seen Ciampa get this kind of a reaction. And, you know, NXT, that's where, you know, some of the smarter fans are. So, you know, it's easy to kind of cheer for him. Like, I think there was only one time in this entire match that the fans cheered for something that Ciampa did, and that was he was being a heel, and he, like, mocked the fans and some kind of clapping or something like that. That was, like, the only time he got even a semblance of applause or anything, because people kind of laughed at it because it was funny. Other than that, every single thing he did, every single motion he made, every single move he did in this match got completely drowned in boos. And of course, Gargano, the complete opposite, the the biggest babyface reaction you'll probably hear, well, until tomorrow night when you know who makes his return to the ring for the first time in 3 years. But nah, this match was great. Like I said, clear heel, clear face, and a clear story as to why they hate each other so much. So much to talk about. They pulled up the Ciampa, that was, he pulled up the floor on the outside, revealed the concrete floor, which came into play later on. Gargano threw Ciampa over the announce table, and he collided with the announcers. The crowd even chanted Mamma Mia at one point for Mauro Ranallo. Ciampa then, soon after that, suplexed Gargano off the announce table onto the floor. Not the concrete part, but just onto the floor, which was brutal. At one point, Ciampa, like, Irish whipped Gargano into the corner, and Gargano, like, went upside down, but when he landed, like, right on his shoulder and neck. It was a very nasty bump. Ciampa, the true heel he was, stole crutches from a fan in the crowd, and those crutches, at least one of them, came into play throughout the match. Both men were trying to knock each other from the ring onto the concrete part of the floor, but it was Gargano who slipped out of the Celtic Cross attempt by Ciampa, and instead hit a sunset flip and powerbombed Ciampa onto the concrete floor, which back in the day probably would have ended someone's career. Not career, but, you know, would have put them out for a long time. But, you know, it was just another move in the match. There were a lot of times in this match where it's like, oh, that could have been the finish. But, it wasn't. But, they built a lot of great stuff. Ciampa at one point, hit the DIY, meet in the middle knee thing, but it was only good for a 2 count. Gargano locked him in the Gargano escape. Ciampa started to, like, dig into Gargano's eyes to escape from it. The two of them started to go at it, and Ciampa hit him with the low blow and hit him with Project Ciampa, but only good for a near fall. A huge near fall, but a near fall nonetheless. Then the two started to fight some more, and Gargano hit him with a super kick, and then he lawn darted him into the middle turnbuckle in the corner. He exposed it a little earlier, and I figured, oh, don't do that, because you'll probably be the one hitting it. But no, he exposed it, and then he lawn darted him into it, and then hit the knee, but only good for a 2 count. I thought that was going to be the finish. The fans went crazy for that. I jumped out of my seat for that one, because I thought that was going to be it, but only good for a 2 count. At one point, Ciampa, he was wearing a knee brace, because of course he had knee surgery, so he pulled off the brace. He's about to hit Gargano with it, but it was well, actually, I think he hit him with it. No, he almost hit him with it, but he took it off and threw it to the side, and then Gargano hit him with it, but it was only good for like a 2 count. I think he tried to pin him with it, and then we set up for the finish here, and Gargano, he has the I remember what happened. So the finish is he hit him in the knee with the knee brace, and then Ciampa's down. He goes over, he breaks the crutch for whatever reason, and he goes to strike Ciampa with it. Then he stops short, right in mid way we're gonna do. Ciampa flinches, and the two just kind of stare at each other. Ciampa's sitting down in the ring, Gargano standing over him, and then he gets down to one knee. The two are face to face, and it looked like he's about to sit down right next to him, but it didn't last too long, because Ciampa reached over and was about to hit him with the knee brace, but Gargano ducked. He ducked it, and then he locked him in the Gargano escape, and he quickly disapplied it, and then put him in a leg hold, some kind of like half Boston crab or something like that, but he was tugging on his leg, and then he got the knee brace and just kind of yanked it onto his face, kind of pulled back on his face, immediately tapped out. Johnny Gargano gets the huge babyface win, a happy ending on this show, and they even went off the air. with it. I heard from a lot of you who were waiting, because, with NXT, you're conditioned to, hold off on, stuff with the logo, but, nothing happened. Big monster pop, for Johnny Gargano winning. Fans give him a standing ovation, give both guys a standing ovation, even clapped for Ciampa a little bit as he was leaving. Of course, Candice LeRae, Gargano's wife, she came out, gave him a hug, and they both just hugged in the middle of the ring, and they stood out there for a little bit longer, and eventually they left, and that was the show, nothing else. I kind of left after they got out of the ring, and I wanted to get out of there pretty quickly. But yeah, this was a fun show. This match was a fun match. It was let me just tell you right now, my words don't do this match justice. Like, I just put together some quick notes of everything that I could remember and everything that kind of resonated with me with this match and kind of up and top to bottom on this show because I just got back from it. But yeah, this was a great show. This main event, if I dared compare it to the Gargano Almas match from Philadelphia, I'd probably say that this match was slightly better. But I think this entire show was better than TakeOver in Philadelphia. And that TakeOver Philadelphia show was incredible. But this one was just a little bit better. And I saw people saying that this was the best TakeOver special that WWE has ever put on. And it'd be pretty difficult to deny that. But like I said, I have a reputation for saying that after almost every single TakeOver. They seem to keep topping themselves, especially recently. Like the last few TakeOver specials, like Brooklyn, War Games, Philadelphia, and now here, they've all really delivered big time. And yeah, this one was no exception. So good luck to the main roster guys at WrestleMania tomorrow night. This show was 3 hours and 7 minutes. That show is going to be 7+ hours. So it's going to be pretty difficult for them to top it, but would love to see them try. So that's about it for me. I'm not sure if the ROH Supercard of Honor show is still going on right now. I know it was happening at the same time as this show. I was tempted to go to that one because of the Kenny Omega Cody Rhodes match, but Ciampa and Gargano is gonna get my money. So I'm sure they had a good show, but this show was just amazing. And now full speed ahead to WrestleMania tomorrow night. I am looking forward to it, despite it being a long show. It is a very stacked card with a lot of potential great matches, but it's going to be tough to follow this show. But like I said, I'm anxious to see them try. So I guess I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night for WrestleMania, and till then, take care.